Good evening, Vacaville. We're going to go ahead and get this meeting started. This is the regularly scheduled City Council meeting for October 22nd, 2024 at 6 p.m. Do I have a roll call?
Council Agency Authority Member Stockton.
Here.
Silva.
Here.
Chapman.
Here.
Roberts. Wiley.
Here.
Vice Mayor, Vice Chair Ritchie.
Here.
Mayor Chair Carly.
Here. And if you're able, will you please rise for a moment of silence? Councilmember Chapman, will you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Any changes to tonight's agenda?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we're going to remove item 6B as in boy from the consent and make that item 9C under business tonight. Other than that, there are no further changes.
All right, do I have a motion? We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Councilmember Stockton. Councilmember Chapman.
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley.
Yes.
Councilmember Silva.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ritchie.
Yes.
Mayor Carly.
Yes. And as far as the approval of minutes, any changes? Otherwise, do I have a motion?
Motion to
We have a motion
approve. Second.
and a second. Roll call.
Councilmember Silva.
Yes.
Councilmember Chapman.
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ritchie.
Yes.
Councilmember Stockton. Mayor Carly.
Yes. We do have one presentation tonight. I will be providing and presenting a proclamation for Nancy Tillotson in honor of her retirement. Nancy, would you like to come forward? Right. Well, I'm going to read some very special words about you. And they're all true, and staff here is very appreciative, and I, for one, also, as former staff, appreciate all your service and support to the city. So, whereas today we recognize and celebrate Nancy's retirement and her almost 20 years of outstanding service to the citizens of the city of Vacaville through her work in the Community Development Department and Fire Department. Whereas Nancy was hired in July of 2005 as a part-time administrative clerk, serving the fire department, where she promoted to full-time status first as an administrative clerk and then as a senior administrative clerk, and her role was converted to administrative tech 2 in 2015. And in December of 2017, there's a pattern here. You know the city very well. In December of 2017, you were promoted to the administrative assistant supporting the community development department and the director. And in July of 2020, this position was converted to an executive assistant position. During Nancy's time with the community development, she was an exceptional contributor to the department's success in many ways, particularly due to her thoughtful, careful, and persistent execution of administrative duties. And whereas Nancy is appreciated by everyone in the community development department, past and present, for her persistent diligence in supporting all of the staff in the department, and her organizational skills and commitment to excellence were especially evident in how she facilitated staff training activities, staff recognition, and managed numerous special projects that benefited the entire department. Examples include summer at City Hall, numerous office moves, renovations, supporting special events such as Kid Fest, large community meetings, and organizing fun department activities. The theme here is if you want something done, go see you. You've really been that person and employee in the city. So whereas Nancy has served as the Planning Commission clerk and has provided exemplary, thoughtful service to planning commissioners, past and present, and the public in your role as clerk, Nancy has helped run effective meetings through normal times and pandemic times, producing agenda packets and meeting minutes and clerking commission meetings late into the evening. And whereas Nancy has demonstrated a special acumen for working with young people, she has facilitated the Community Development Department's participation in the summer at City Hall by organizing work for participating high school students. Through Nancy's initiative, the department has hired several program participants for part-time work after the conclusion of the summer program. Nancy has been instrumental in supervising and supporting the success of these young Vacaville High School students, and you've also been a consistent source of guidance and support to the department's college interns. Whereas Nancy is part of a small team of city staff who organize COV life events, you've contributed time and care to these projects and have been diligent in encouraging community development staff to participate in events, in particular, the inaugural COV Summer Olympics and the annual bike sale benefiting ALS research. Nancy, you will be missed by your coworkers and staff across the city, but most of all by the Community Development Department. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, John Carley, Mayor, on behalf of the Vacaville City Council, do hereby proclaim November 7th, 2024, as Nancy Tillotson Day in the city of Vacaville, and honor you for the faithful and dedicated services that you performed over the past 20 years, with our best wishes for continued success and happiness in the future. Congratulations. I would like, if you would, if you want to just share some words of wisdom for us.
I'd just like to say thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity. Worked with a lot of people, and I would do it again. So, thank you.
Thank you. It really is special when you realize how much individuals like you give in your entire career. It means a lot. You will be missed. It's going to be hard to replace not just the work you do, but the charisma that you bring to this city each and every day. Wish you the best, and don't be a stranger. All right? So thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and move on to the consent calendar. We know that we pulled item B. So other than that, there on consent is items A through F. Any member of the public or the council wishing to pull any item for discussion? Seeing none, do I have a motion? We have a motion and a second. Do I have a roll call?
Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilmember Stockton? Councilmember Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Carley?
Yes. Okay, we're going to move on to business from the floor. Item 7, this isn't a time where the public has an opportunity to address the council on any item that's not on tonight's agenda, but it is within the jurisdiction of this council. You have 3 minutes to share any concern that is in our jurisdiction. So welcome, and I will open it up, business from the floor. Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. I want to express my thanks and compliments to the city clerk and the deputy city clerk. I had an important question, at least it was important to me. I had an immediate response, and it was very helpful, and I just wanted to say thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Just want to bring up something that's kind of faded from our attention lately, and that is the fact that, remember, the state of California is taking away our water from Berryessa via the State Water Agency, and then at the same time, they are moving forward on the Delta Tunnels project, which is going to turn Solano County into something that looks like old Owens Valley. That's a historical reference I'm sure a lot of you didn't catch. Look it up. The spirit of John Mulholland lives within the Los Angeles Water Agency. Look him up. But I'm just saying, these things don't happen coincidentally. They are a coordinated attack. And, you know, even though it seems like a county problem, it's our problem too. And we're going to be caught up in this. Just, you know, look at it. It's not individual little things happening. It's coordinated. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Mayor Carley, City Council, City staff. I'm back today to respond to another common and important concern I received from the council regarding deploying an application process for Vacaville's cannabis program. How will the permits be allocated fairly amongst applicants expected to apply? As you may know, many cities have opened themselves up to liability over how the permits have been allocated and what factors were used to make their decisions fair and just for all applicants, including those from communities who were disproportionately affected by the war on drugs. Fortunately, the state of California has responded to this by creating a cannabis equity grant program, which purpose is to allocate $15 million of funding to help local governments establish their own cannabis license programs, along with an equity grant aspect to it. This helps cities offer fair market approaches and equitable access to licensure and business ownership by giving access, resources, and opportunity to applicants from communities negatively impacted by over-criminalization and cannabis prohibition. This is an opportune moment for Vacaville, as we have the opportunity to apply for Type 1 funding of this grant before the deadline of December 16th. Applicants for Type 1 funding may request up to $75,000 for the purpose of developing a local equity program and conducting equity assessments. Additionally, we can also be eligible for the Type 2 of this grant, which can offer funding up to $3.5 million. Fortunately, the only requirements needed for us to receive this funding of the Type 1 grant is to be one local jurisdiction that demonstrates an intent to develop a cannabis equity program, which we already are. Our city applying for and receiving this grant can make deploying our cannabis program even more financially feasible for the city of Vacaville and its residents. This will not only help remove funding as a blocker, but also give the city's new upcoming cannabis program state resources and support. Council, I believe if we are serious about looking into possibly deploying Vacaville's cannabis program in the near future, then we should definitely apply for this state grant before its deadline of December 16th, 2024. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please give it to the clerk. Good evening.
Members of the council, Mr. Mayor, my name is Norm Robert, and I represent the Solano County Marine Corps League, and I come here tonight not with a problem, not with an issue, but rather with a celebration to announce. The U.S. Marine Corps will be celebrating its 249th birthday on November the 10th of this year. November the 10th is a very special day for all Marines. From the time we were in boot camp, we were brainwashed and now celebrate. And during my tour in the Marine Corps, that was back a few years, we had everything from special sea rations to, I remember one year we were all given a cigar to smoke in celebration. Our detachment will be celebrating this special day on November the 16th, and the event will be held at the Sunrise Banquet Hall on Orange Drive. The celebration is a formal event and includes traditional Marine functions, dinner, dancing, and a very special speaker. The guest speaker this year will be Vacaville's own son, Christopher Cortez. Christopher was born and raised here in Vacaville, and in 1967, graduated from Vacaville High School. Christopher enlisted in the Marine Corps and attained the improbable rank of Major General. Now, any of you who have served in the military know that not just anyone gets up to that rank. And he served the Marine Corps and his nation for 33 years in the Marine Corps. I understand there are still some tickets available for purchase, and I have some flyers with you that I'd like to distribute and for more information regarding this event. I thank you for your time, and I hope you'll be able to join us for this celebration on next month. Thank you.
Thank you. If you can
I
bring
do, over there.
that'd be great. I'd love to
Thank
have
you.
the flyers. Appreciate your service. Anyone else wishing to address the council? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close business from the floor and bring it back to item 8A, public hearings. Mr. City Manager?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council. This item before you is a hearing on special assessment liens for weed abatement on private property. We have both Chief Chris Concepcion and Fire Marshal Jill Childers with the presentation for you.
Vice Mayor, and members of the City Council. Tonight, we are here to talk about weed abatement liens that took place during this last weed abatement season. Code enforcement works with property owners to comply with the city's weed abatement requirements. We enforce Vacaville Municipal Code Section 8.04, which is abatement of weeds and rubbish, and California Fire Code Section 304.1.2.1. Notification of this lien hearing was mailed to both property owners on August 30th, 2024. In the notice, we made the property owners aware that they had until the day prior to this hearing on October the 22nd to pay in full or to call with any questions about the amount due or the process that we followed. We did not receive any calls or follow-up from either property owners. Tonight, we'll be discussing the properties located at 995 Merchant Street and 524530 Spring Lane. Code enforcement followed our normal process to provide property owners notification of the violations on their property. This included issuing courtesy notices, issuing notice in order to abate, posting 3-day notice of intent to apply for abatement warrants. Warrants for both properties were issued by Solano County Superior Court, and all properties were abated by city contractors. Here are two before photos of 995 Merchant. And here are two photos of 995 Merchant after the weed abatement was completed. On this slide, I have before and after photos of 524 and 530 Spring Lane. Currently, we have outstanding balances for 995 Merchant. The amount due is $1,740.61. And for 524 and 530 Spring Lane, the amount due is $2,998.82. The physical impact is the cost for the abatement. This was paid for from the general fund. The strategic plan goal initiative is goal number 1 to ensure public safety. And lastly, the recommendation is by simple motion to adopt this subject resolution. I'm here if you have any questions or comments.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. And these are the only 3 properties that you had to abate this year?
Yeah. Technically 2 for 524 and 530 Spring Lane are one parcel. For whatever reason, it actually has 2 separate addresses. But yes, the only 2 properties.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and open this up for a public hearing to the public at this point. Anyone who from the public or the property owners wishing to address the council on this item? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public portion of this hearing and bring it back to the council. Any comments or questions, or do I have a motion? Councilmember, or Vice Mayor Ritchie.
So one of the properties, how many years have you guys had to do weed abatement for the subject property in Burgess Street? Is this the first year or is it numerous times?
For the one on Merchant?
Yes.
This is the first year I've had to do weed abatement. There's other abatement actions that we are taking against that property right now, but the first year for weed abatement.
I saw under the goals, was it public, like, goal number 3? That property's a mess and it's a hot mess. And just weed abatement is one issue, but it's unless the public really understands when you drive down Merchant as you're entering the freeway, it's health and safety. So weeds are one thing, but it's becoming an eyesore, but also public nuisance and public threat. It's like a lot of stuff's happening at properties. I think this weed abatement doesn't really underscore how much of a problem that is for the city. And I think it's crossing that level, which is getting unacceptable. But so it's more than just weeds. If you really understand that property, it's health and safety issues for Vacaville.
Absolutely. And like I said, we do have quite a large case open that we are working.
I just want to emphasize that for the record. Like, it's not just weeds, it's a lot more than that.
Yes.
Do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Motion and a second. A roll call?
Councilmember Silva?
Yes.
Member Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley? Yes. Councilmember Stockton?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ritchie?
Yes.
Mayor Cartley?
Yes. Thank you for not only this report, but also the work that it takes to make sure that we're in compliance. Fire safety is a big deal, so I appreciate all that the staff does. So we'll move on to item 9A business. Mr. City Manager.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. This next item is a request to approve an amendment to the Community Development Block Grant Citizen Participation Plan. Community Services Director Tamara Colden is here with the presentation.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Tonight, I'm going to be presenting the Community Development Block Grant Citizen Participation Plan Amendment. So as a reminder, the Community Development Block Grant Entitlement Program provides federally funded grants to cities and counties with the goal of developing viable urban communities, providing decent housing, and expanding economic opportunities. Since 1988, the city of Vacaville has been an entitlement city, receiving CDBG funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. As part of its community outreach efforts, the city must develop a citizen participation plan, or CPP. The CPP is a document that outlines strategies and procedures for public involvement in the planning, implementation, and evaluation of CDBG-funded activities. The CPP describes the steps the city will take to obtain input from those persons directly affected by the CDBG activities and how the city will involve the public during all stages of the process. The current CPP covers the consolidated plan, any annual action plan, and any consolidated annual performance evaluation report, or CAPR. So it outlines the steps the city will take for those activities. On July 23rd, Council approved approximately $6.7 million in Measure M funding to fully fund Phase 1 of the Brown Street project, which includes the development of De Colores Park and Malaquias Montoya Community Center. At that time, Council was provided with this chart of other secured and potential funding sources identified for the project. This includes an estimated $2.6 million in Section 108 loan funds from HUD under the CDBG program. The Section 108 Loan Guarantee Program is a provision of the CDBG program that enables CDBG recipients to leverage their annual allocation to secure low-cost, long-term financing for large-scale community and economic development projects. To initiate the application process for a Section 108 loan, the city must first amend its CPP, or Citizen Participation Plan, to include provisions for the Section 108 activities. The amendments to the CPP includes how the city will notify the public of its intent to apply for a Section 108 loan, the number of public hearings that will be held, and the length of the comment period, as well as how comments will be documented and addressed. And it also includes how the city will identify potential Section 108 projects and the procedures for ongoing monitoring and public reporting. So tonight, the council is being asked to accept public comment and provide comment on the Citizen Participation Plan Amendment and approve that Citizen Participation Plan Amendment so that we can begin the outreach process, the community outreach process required to start putting together a Section 108 loan application. With that, I'm happy to accept any questions or comments from council or the public regarding the amendment to the Citizen Participation Plan.
Thank you for the presentation. What's the length of the period for the outreach from the public?
Yeah, so right now, our department is planning 2 community outreach meetings next month. One of them will be virtual and in the evening, and one of them will be during the day and in person, and that will start the outreach efforts to gain information and feedback from the public. We will use that along with a survey that will go out to the public and be open essentially through the end of November through the beginning of next year. So all the information and feedback that we gather from those outreach events along with the survey will be used to start putting together that application for the funding. The draft application will be brought back to the council, and we're anticipating in February to get initial feedback on that application from the public and from council. We will take back that feedback, make any amendments, or include that information in a final version of the application that will come back again in front of council, anticipated in April of next year before submission to HUD. So that entire process will happen, and we can gather feedback from the community and or any other interested social service agencies or agencies that provide services in the area or to the community regarding that application during that time period.
Okay, great, thank you. Seeing no questions, I'm going to go ahead and open up to the public. Actually, I'm going to stop right there real quick since I know that we have Councilmember Silva. Councilmember Silva, do you have any questions?
Yeah. So one question will be how. So in there it talks about targeting or focusing on certain individuals or certain demographics. How does staff have a plan in order to know how to distinguish between that, or is that irrelevant?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand what you're asking.
So sorry, I'm trying to find it in the verbiage in the attachment. Mayor Carley, while I find that, maybe we can go to public comment and
That's fine.
Find thank you.
That's fine, let's do that. If you come across it, you can, when we come back, you can ask it then. I'll go ahead and open up to the public for any comment on this item. Seeing none, I'm going to bring it back, so hopefully you were quick in finding it.
Yeah, actually, the first paragraph of background. So it says expanding, quote, expanding economic opportunities principally for low and moderate income persons, and then outreach efforts, especially those with low and moderate incomes. So if that's the stipulation and the goal is to be able to collect feedback from those particular demographics of individuals, how the city staff collect or distinguish between that, or is it irrelevant for the feedback purposes?
Yeah, so the survey will provide an opportunity for respondents to provide information on income level, anonymously, obviously, But survey respondents will be able to provide that information to staff if they choose to, so that staff can collect that information.
Thank you. No other questions.
Councilmember Stockton.
Yes, I understand that this funding, why the language needs to be changed or amended for this. Is that a common practice in other municipalities to use these funds for these sorts of projects?
So any municipality that is an entitlement community that receives CDBG funding, a Section 108 loan is an option to any jurisdiction receiving that funding to use towards large-scale economic development or public, sorry, I want to use the right term, any kind of project, public facility project or something like that. That is, funds could be needed for as long as that project addresses the national objectives of the CDBG program.
Okay, and this is not like an either or, we'll still have money to address housing needs in other areas, correct?
Correct. So this funding is in addition to the annual allocation that the city receives on an annual
I have
basis.
no other questions.
All right, I don't see any other questions on the council. So with that, Councilmember Silva, did you have any other comments?
I do not. A motion to approve.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Roll call.
Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley?
Yes.
Councilmember Stockton?
Yes.
Councilmember Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Ritchie?
Yes.
Mayor Carley?
Yes. All right, we'll move on to, thank you for the presentation, and go ahead and begin that outreach. Councilmember, or actually, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council. This next item before you is a resolution approving the negotiated terms between the city and labor groups. We have Jessica Bose and Ken Matsumiya from our labor negotiation team with staff report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm bringing another agreement for your approval tonight in our labor relations world. Next slide, please. As way of background, this is for the Vacaville City Employees Association, or VCEA. Their contract expires October 31st. As you know, the process is a data-driven one, and it includes looking at comparable agencies in our area, places we lose employees to and gain employees from. We look at CPI, we look at recruitment and retention data for the positions that are covered under each group. We also receive union proposals, analyze and cost them. And then, of course, we look at the city budget, which is the most important part. And as you see, I have deficit spending here. That's kind of a theme in why we are looking at one-year deals. The negotiating team then brings the data to council and receives direction from you all. And then we meet with the groups and update them each time and have our back and forth negotiations in good faith. And then until we get to a place that the group feels they can have a total tentative agreement, which means they can get their membership to approve what we're bringing to them. And then we bring it to you. Next. So for the VCA group, this is a one-year term, again, due to deficit spending, November 1st of 24 through October 31st of 25. There is a 4% COLA effective with the pay period that includes November 1st. And an increase to uniform and safety shoe allowance. As you see here, we're increasing both of these. This makes their uniform and safety shoe allowance match up with the supervisors that they work for. So they're out in the field just as much as their supervisors, so it makes sense. It's also the addition of some standby pay for our evidence technicians in the police department. They have to be available 24/7. They obviously never know when something's going to happen that they need to be out in the field. So this allows for us to put them on standby on a rotating basis. There are some cleanups in the strike-through proposal that's attached to the staff report as a measure of transparency. We do the strike-through and attach it to the staff report before we accept the changes so that everybody can see all the changes that have been made. And in there, you'll also see some corrections to spelling or grammar issues, some clarification in language that needed to be cleaned up, and some title changes in addition to the items that I listed on the prior slide. Reaching an agreement addresses our strategic initiatives for A, B, and C, and our goal number 4 to maintain effective and efficient services here at the city. The fiscal impact of this agreement is a little over $349,000 in the current fiscal year, with a total of $524 over the term. About 61% of that comes from the general fund, with the remaining coming from the individual departments that employees work in. All costs include roll-up for costs for things like pension to capture any kind of unfunded future liability. Our recommendation is by simple motion that you adopt the subject resolution, and we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. I don't have any questions. I don't see any questions from the council, but Councilmember Silva, do you have any questions?
I do not. Thank you.
Open up to the public for any comment. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council for any discussion before a motion. Councilmember Stockton.
I just wanted to thank you, Jessica, and your team for the great work that you guys are doing. I know that these negotiations can be tricky, but I appreciate your diligence.
No more comments. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Excuse me. Councilmember Wiley, sorry.
I just had one question. How many people are in this bargaining group?
There's a little over 100.
Yeah, I think currently it's 128, and then budgeted it's about 140.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so we have a motion, a second. Roll call.
Councilmember Wiley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ritchie? Yes. Councilmember Stockton?
Yes.
Councilmember Silva?
Yes.
Member Chapman? Mayor Carley?
Yes, and thank you for all the hard work in bringing this to us today. I think we're moving on to 9C.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. This was previously identified on the agenda as 6B. This is a request to execute the Second Amendment to the Paratransit Services Agreement between the City of Vacaville and First Transit. We have Laura DeMassa and Jacob Allred from the Public Works Department, Transit Section, with the staff report.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. As stated, this item is recommending the approval of Amendment Number 2 to the agreement for the provision of fixed route, demand response, and paratransit services between the City of Vacaville and First Transit, Inc. City coach services provided through this agreement are the fixed route service, the paratransit service, which is our senior and disabled service, City Coach Direct, which is our on-demand and microtransit service. The City Coach program is funded through 3 sources: state funds through the Transportation Development Act, federal dollars through the Federal Transportation Administration, and collected passenger fares. No general funds support the transit program. The Transit Services Agreement is essentially a labor-only agreement. First Transit provides the daily operations of the transit services through their staff, which consist of a general manager, a safety and training manager, dispatchers, bus operators, and a utility worker. The current Transit Services Agreement was awarded to First Transit on August 1st, 2021. It consists of 5 base years, which expires in July of 2026. And within the contract terms, it permits special rate adjustments due to eligible events. And an eligible event is classified as a change in state or federal laws, statutes, rules, or regulations applicable to the RFP or the agreement. Amendment Number 1 was approved on May 25th, 2023. It increased the revenue hour by $3.08 and was directly allocated to driver wages. On August 5th of this year, First Transit submitted a special rate adjustment request based on extraordinary circumstances. First Transit cited the nationwide inflation, the difficulty in attracting and retaining employees and at current rates due to Assembly Bill 1228, which increased the fast food minimum wage requirements, and additional requirements resulting from the transition of CNG buses to electric buses, which was mandated by the California Air Resources Board's Innovative Clean Transit Regulation. Amendment number 2 allows First Transit to offer competitive wages for staff and bus operators. It assists First Transit in maintaining financial stability. It provides an incentive for First Transit to continue providing operations, and it demonstrates the city's commitment to the public transit system. City staff conducted an assessment of the special rate adjustment request by first consulting with legal counsel. Legal confirmed the request meets the eligible event definition requirements in the current agreement based on the following changes to state law. The Assembly Bill 1228, which mandated a raise to the minimum wage of fast food restaurants, and due to the California Air Resources Board approving the Innovative Clean Transit Regulation, which requires all transit agencies to transition to a fully electric fleet. Staff then conducted a cost analysis of similar transit agencies and confirmed the request is consistent with neighboring agencies, both within Solano County and surrounding areas. Staff also confirmed that Vacaville is not unique in this request, as many transit agencies are also implementing special rate adjustments. Staff also determined that the request is justified, reasonable, and in the best interest of the city and its public transit program, and that it meets FTA and TDA funding requirements. The benefits to the city are that it provides competitive rates to ensure First Transit's ability to attract and retain staff. It enhances service quality by increasing motivation and morale. It ensures consistent and reliable service to the Vacaville community. It improves the capacity to serve the transportation needs of the residents. It enables First Transit the ability to provide the additional labor needs associated with the electric buses. And it allows for City Coach to continue achieving the goal of clean, safe, and reliable transportation, which was evident through our 2023 public satisfaction survey with an impressive 94% positive rating. The financial impact for base years 4 and 5 is a total increase of $1,071,748. There is no impact to the city's general funds, as the transit program is funded by state funds through the Transportation Development Act, federal dollars through the Federal Transit Administration, and passenger fares. The increase is well within the transit budget capacity, and I would also like to note that approval of amendment number 2 will not result in an increase to passenger fares. As for the environmental, fiscal, and strategic goal, this action is exempt from CEQA. There is no fiscal impact to the city's general fund, as the recommended increase will be funded through Transportation Development Act and Federal Transit Administration funding, as well as passenger fares. And the strategic goal is goal number 4, to maintain effective and efficient services. And the recommendation is by simple motion to adopt the subject resolution. And I'll be happy to take any questions.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I'm not seeing any questions on this. I think you answered the specifics. Councilmember Wiley.
Thank you for the information, and I do feel like, we have a great bus system. We just came back from Cal Cities, and one of the presentations was about how transportation funding is going to fall off the cliff. So these dollars, you said, won't affect the general fund because they come from the TDA and the FTA. Do you feel like those are going to be flowing just as freely in the upcoming years, or is there going to be an issue? Because the gist of this workshop was electric vehicles was going to change that fee. So I just, are those funds secure for the future is my question.
Well, I can tell you that I just did a study on this and gave a presentation, and we are not facing a fiscal cliff.
Or not what?
We are not facing a fiscal cliff as far as our transportation goes. We went out to 2030, and there's no issues with the funding.
The only reason I was asking, because it's not going to impact the general fund, and I didn't know if 2 years from now you would, there was not enough money, so now we need to come to the general fund. So you assured me that we're not falling off the cliff. Thank you.
Councilmember Chapman.
Thank you for the report. And just to follow up on what Councilmember Molly was stating, is there language in the contract that speaks to the funding source? And if that should cease, then we're not liable for their continued cost?
Does.
No, you're not aware.
A little birdie told me it does.
It does have
I'm
the
not
language.
aware of the language, but we can look into it further and provide more of an answer if you'd like one.
Okay. That would safeguard the city
Yeah.
from being liable.
Right. I appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and open up the public for any questions or comments. Seeing none, I'll bring it back and I'll just say thank you before I turn it back over to Councilmember Wiley. Thank you for all you're doing. As I sit on the STA board and committee and subcommittee, I can assure the public who's here or listening or will watch in the future to really be proud of the transit system that we have here in Vacaville. We are the example to the region, to the other cities. Not that we're the only one doing it, but we've really led the way. And I recently had the experience of, I needed to get from point A to point B and there wasn't a bus route. But lo and behold, there is City Coach Direct and it works just fine. And so thank you for what you're doing. And I want to thank all the staff that's in transit. We don't use it enough. And unfortunately, the one thing that I can say in Vacaville is we have a reliable system, which is and an affordable one based upon the region. And we are often referred to as the example. So I want to thank you for the good work. Councilmember Wiley.
I was ready to make the motion.
Go ahead and make the motion.
I don't know if Silva has anything or not.
Oh, Councilmember Silva, did you have any comments?
No, thank you.
Floor is yours.
I move that we approve this resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Councilmember Stockton? Councilmember Silva?
Yes.
Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ritchie? Mayor Carley?
Yes, thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to item 10, reports of the city manager.
I have none this evening, thank you.
And with that, we'll bring it back to any reports of the city council. Councilmember Stockton.
Yes, thank you. It wasn't too long ago that we got to celebrate some Little League All-Stars that represented the city very, very well. And I also just recently heard that the Vacaville High School girls flag football team clinched the very first Monticello Empire League. Is it still now? I think they clinched the title and are going to be the champions this year. And I just wanted to highlight, Eric Chappell, his coaching staff, all of the collegiate, the high school collegiate schools that participated in bringing that activity to girls athletics, and just to celebrate the hard work that all of them have done. I've enjoyed their social media is all over the place, and it just looks like the kids had a lot of fun, and I just wanted to congratulate them and their coaching staff on a successful season.
Thank you. Okay, Councilmember Chapman.
Thank you. I have a few items here. It is National Teen Safety Month, and there's information. There have been press release on educating, informing, and helping our young drivers to be safe on the roads. And speaking, there's information that it's being provided to adult drivers as well as the parents and guardians of the teens to stress safety, not drinking and using their cell phones, anything that would distract them. There was and has been mention of driving or deaths among our youth. It's due to accidents, auto accidents. And so I would just like to put it out there that here in Vacaville, we've noticed, and we've had comments about how our residents are driving at a faster rate of speed, and which is a detriment to the safety everyone, all of us. So I just wanted to make mention of that. And then next, the Wild West Film Festival was very, very entertaining. I was able to be there for 2 days, both days. And I'll also state that I met a lady or a couple that had come from the Bay Area, and they did not realize that on the first day was just the film fest, the showing of the documentaries. And she was hoping that there would be more activities on the first day. So she was a little disappointed. I said, we just come back, tomorrow. Whether she did or not, I don't know. But I wanted to share that it was a very well planned event. And families came out, the entire family, from the little ones to our most senior members. The next thing I would like to share is Mr. Nellstone, Frank Nellstone, has come here, I'm going to say almost ever since I've been on the council, speaking about cannabis. And with just a little, I know cannabis or the topic came before the council, before I became a member of the council, and there was some action taken back when, but it ceased for whatever reason. However, with Mr. Nellstone coming in, there had been conversation when, right after the passage of the legislation, about how cities would benefit from the sales or the sales tax, excise taxes. Um, and I would like to make a motion to have staff, if possible, Mr. Mayor, City Manager, to research the potential of what the sales tax, excise tax, or tax revenues for the city, what the revenue would be for the city. Let me start all over. The city would be the amount the city would benefit from.
So you're asking for a report to come back to council based
Yes.
upon the economic benefits of
There
this
you
program?
go.
So what I would ask is there any other member of the council that would join Sarah Chapman to support that?
I'll say. Oh, hold on.
Hold on. Councilmember Stockton?
I had the thing. Before we get a second, I wanted to ask the city manager if you and staff have time to do that, because the last time this came up, it was that there were so many things on our staff's plate that they weren't able to get to it yet. So I don't know if that's changed, but I wanted to at least get an update from them before we put an additional task like this on top of them. That's all I want to know before.
Can you address that?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate the comment, Councilmember Stockton. So we did come back in response to council's inquiry many months ago, earlier this year, and that given the numerous changes in the laws and how that applies to what we do have on the books with regards to our ordinances, what I shared with the council at that time when we did come back to give you an update of what would be necessary to get that information would require taking key members of about 4 or 5, maybe even 6 different departments and spend, taking time away from current activities that council is having us work on. And it would probably take about a good 4 or 5 months to come back to you with any significant update for your consideration. And so what I had been asked the first time around is what would it take to get you that information? So that's what I provided. That has not changed. And actually it's probably may take even longer because of some of the projects that we find ourselves in now that we've added to the project list since we had that conversation earlier this year, such as the new land use plans and those types of things. So this would definitely be a new effort that would require quite a bit of time just to get you that information before you were to even take action. Thank you for the opportunity to provide you with that update.
Well, I know I heard Vice Mayor Ritchie. I personally believe that I'm not interested in the moment. I would be more interested if we were having if we, kind of like in the spring or sometime when we're having priority planning sessions. This was never even discussed last year. I think it would be more appropriate to have a discussion at a time like that to decide is it a priority for the council.
Along those lines, I mean, in the first quarter of next year, we will be coming to the council with, goal setting and priority discussions. And perhaps that's an opportunity to talk about, what is the council's priorities for the work plan for, that upcoming year. And that could be a discussion topic of, looking at everything that's going on, because I assure you, a lot of activity is going on with regards to our land use planning, our housing, our economic development, all those other things that the council has established as a priority. And right now, to deviate from that would be a tall task.
Hold on a second, I got you. There you go.
Oh, me.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I just, oh my God. Yes. My motion was specifically focusing at the sales tax, the potential of the revenue that would be generated. So the application process, I'm not looking for an in-depth analysis of the candidate's program. Much of that work has already been done. Okay.
So
Sometimes you don't have to go deeper if you're looking at, okay, is this going, with this benefit, would it be worth our while? So on the surface, I'm asking about, based upon what is known already, maybe there is one county in Northern California, that has a program in place right now. Look at that. And you can, just looking at a few, one or two successful programs. And based upon their income of the 3 areas that I mentioned, how is it working?
I understand the question. The challenge that we have is that the first part of the action that was taken many years ago, several years ago, set up some ground rules for the subject. But what did not occur is what types of uses, how many of those uses could be allowed, where, and so forth. And so without having those parameters established, I can't tell you what the projected dollar revenue value would be, because I don't know if we're talking about 1 dispensary, 5 dispensaries, 3 production use. So I don't have any real values, a base value to go out and quantify. Does that make sense?
I can't, and I wasn't here for the first portion of the study, so really, I think I need to cease right now since it's felt that city cannot, and the thing about it, I wasn't asking for it to be a priority. I was just asking that, when there is time, if staff could look into that.
Understood, and I'm certainly,
okay.
I'm certainly not trying to put other thoughts out there. I'm simply saying that where we're currently at with the subject of cannabis, I can't get to that point that you're asking for. And in order to get to that level, many more steps have to be decided and discussed amongst the council on what the program might look like. And in order to do that, there's a lot of research that needs to be done based on where we left off and all the changes that happened since we first took that action, gosh, 3-4 years or so ago.
Oh, I'm just going to clarify what the ask is. What you're asking is to direct staff resources to prepare a report that would at least address at a high level those areas that could be fiscally beneficial to the city. And hearing from the city manager, though, it would be not able to prioritize it properly, and it would be a more in-depth and a very quick report. So with that, the question to the council and also to Councilmember Silva, is there anyone that seconds this request from Councilmember Chapman?
It was a
Well,
second.
there was a second. I'm just clarifying with it's to direct staff resources. So are you still seconding?
Yeah, but full elaboration, what is that time frame? So are we gonna pull that into?
Well, that's the reason why I said what I said, and that is when we do planning sessions this last year, I mean, I hear and I appreciate every time that we've heard it. It hasn't been a priority, and when we set priorities for the year, if it is a priority of the council, then have that discussion during a priority session and say, where we can have the open discussion and really look at what the resources are. We would be doing that in the spring anyway. So that was my comments. So, sorry.
So I was lost my second, but just to kind of clarify with the gentleman, has great presentations and composure, but there's a lot of data already. So I would like to have this added into our overall study session by education, maybe just to address that question. But California.gov, you can go straight to the California website. There's a whole section, there's a whole department in California now that you can go to right now and get the information, because it's all public records. Every city reports the data, and you can kind of quantify the data and look out of 58 counties, these are cities that have it, these cities, you can go through and look at cities that have the estimated same size as Vacaville, how many shops they have, what's the average income they earn per shop. You can get to that data. So we can review the data and we can review it at the study session, and then based upon maybe we culminate of that, is that enough to propel us forward to take the next steps? But the data is already there. I don't want staff to spend a lot of time. The data is there. Staff is already overloaded. Just go to the state and have SME provide the data to us. Like, it's already there. So we can review it quickly. I just don't want the staff to really dive into this and say, crud, But yeah.
Councilmember Wiley?
I just have a couple of things to report. First of all.
Hold on, before we get to you, sorry.
Oh, are we voting on this?
I need to just finalize this, but then you'll be up. So Councilmember Chapman, sorry.
Yes. Thank you for that, Vice Mayor. The data is there, and as you were speaking, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I even saw a director of economic development affirming the comments that were being made. And I'm doing this in front of you, not around you, and if you tell me I'm out of order, I'll retract it. Is it possible I can ask our economic development person whether or not, based upon the data that is already available, would that be enough to give us a synopsis of?
So I could have told you that data is available as well, but when you want to get specific, that is a whole nother level that I was describing. If you want just generic information, we can get that to you, but I would suggest that, again, because of the where we're at with the priorities and all, if you want us to just bring that back as a simple report, we can do that, but I would encourage you to consider it as part of your priority discussion in first quarter next year.
Okay, can I ask whether during our session that you can come back with generic data that you have gathered that's already available so that we have something to work from?
Certainly, but please understand that that is, and I'm not trying to be difficult, please understand that. What I'm telling you is that we can go out there and say, like-sized cities that have X number of whatever generates this amount of income. Now, will you find commonalities of every similar sized city? Maybe, maybe not. All I'm simply saying, and the reason for having it at that time versus before then, is that is a data point that doesn't exist right now for us. And to put the work in that's necessary to even get to that point is at least 6 months worth of work. That's all I want to make sure that we're clear on.
When is our next study session?
Sorry?
When is our next priority
To be
session?
determined, but probably sometime. It's typically in March.
The first quarter.
March, first quarter.
And just like last year, it's an opportunity for any one of us to have a discussion about what you feel is a priority. And because really the thing is it's one thing to ask staff to come back and just report out on things. And we haven't even set it as a priority of the council, whether you want to do it. So it would make a lot of sense if you want to do it that way and then have at least a cursory discussion because there's income, there's impacts of, challenges it might have from a crime perspective and all the other things. So it's really comprehensive.
So, would I need to have a motion to, have this on the agenda for our first quarter
Study session, you mean?
study session?
To simplify, would simply just get consensus that you would like to talk about this subject, especially that piece, as part of the council's priority discussion session next year.
So just get a consensus. You don't need a motion.
Well, consensus through the majority.
Well, I'm making sure.
Yes, thank you.
Doing it
Okay.
right.
Yes, doing it
Yes.
right. All right.
Okay, so yeah, just bring the discussion topic item for a priority setting discussion at that first quarter meeting.
During the first quarter.
And did you have anything else, Sarah? We have to vote for that all the way around? Okay, I didn't know that changed. All right, so have a roll call.
Councilmember Silva,
Yes.
Councilmember Chapman,
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley. Yes. Councilmember Stockton, Vice Mayor Ritchie,
Yes.
Mayor Carley.
No. So it'll be on that as a priority discussion. We can discuss that during our priority session. And typically during a priority session, it's an open public meeting. And oftentimes there's other things that any one of the council members bring up as a potential interest of discussion that impacts the city. So thank you. Did you have anything else?
No, I think that's enough.
All right, Councilmember Wiley.
All right, now I'll give my council comments. And I will just say, I mentioned that we were at Cal City's conference last week, and I was the delegate representing our view regarding the legislature and our point on that. So I wanted to let you know that I attended the meeting and I voted in that respect. However, because we were lacking a quorum, it will go forward as a recommendation. So if you read in the notes that there was not a quorum, be assured that your delegate was there at the 8:30 a.m. meeting. So I just wanted you to know that was that. And then second thing, we do have a great number of good restaurants in Vacaville. And this week we added 2 more. So yesterday they had an opening at Jersey Mike's by Rayleigh's. And I think the grand opening for the public will be tomorrow. And then today there was a grand opening after they had been open a month or 2 at the Blue House Korean Barbecue, right there across near Sam's, where the hometown buffet was. And again, 2 great restaurants added to Vacaville, so I'd encourage you to check those out some evening when you don't want to do cooking. Third, on the weekend, the Roland Freedom Center had a presentation from Rosie the Riveter, and there was actually a woman, Jean Gibson, who was a spunky 98-year-old, and she told us about her work for the country, being a welder, and the issues that she went with, how cold it was and dangerous because they didn't have all the safety, but she was trained in 2 weeks to be a welder, and she did building ships. She was actually building them in Seattle, but we have a museum in Livermore with Rosie the Riveter. So after that, I think we are going to arrange a meeting with the Rosie the Riveter women to come to our facility on Peabody Road with the pipe fitters and the plumbers and the pipe fitters, and they can see the state-of-the-art welding now and how things have changed. And the Rosie there was 98, and the age range is there's one that's 109. So if we get it arranged that they can come to Vacaville again, I hope that you would take advantage of being able to hear what they did for our country. And I will just say, our country is going to have an election before our next meeting, so just exercise your right to vote so everyone can do their part for their country. All right, that's what I have.
And thank you. Councilmember Silva, do you have any comments?
Yeah, thank you. So, thank you to staff, thank you, council, and public for bear with me calling in. I'm out here in DC. It's my second time ever being out here as a part of this fellowship I'm a part of. That's centered on helping support my professional development on developing workforce. And thank you, Councilmember Wiley, for bringing up the river and the whole concept of how that was an example in our nation's history, where you had people stepping up to do whatever they had to do, not just to support the well-being of the United States, but the well-being of the world. And that, that's something that's absolutely represented here in our nation's capital, and something that we're all in a position to ensure that we continue that legacy that we've inherited, and ensuring that it's passed on to future generations. I think just about all of us are middle-class folks working to improve our lives. And I think, how special it is for us to have a town that allows us to, celebrate life how and when we can. This is the Wild West pie eating contest. I got my diabetes up that day, but also having time to actually come together and support each other through different suffering, like the Alzheimer's walk that Sassoon puts on annually. So all of that collectively, again, it's been a great past 4 years. This November 5th is our election day. For those who haven't registered, you still can. You have to go to a polling place to do that. But the power of voting is something that's very sacred that we have as U.S. citizens. And the more that we vote, the more that we actually put Vacaville on the map and allow us to navigate the concerns that we have, not just regionally, but also at the state level and beyond. So thank you all, and have a good night.
Thanks. Thank you. Vice Mayor Ritchie.
So, be very quick. Well, I think hopefully the mayors will talk about the wonderful award that we received.
Well, that'll be coming. So
okay,
we're going to skip that, and we're going to save that until November.
Oh, okay. So I didn't say anything.
So that's called a sneak peek.
Okay. We're doing good.
There will be an award presentation that the city receives.
Quick little updates. The Cal Cities is great. It's a great opportunity for, the city of Vacaville elected officials to go down there and really get into these breakouts, these rooms, learnings. But I learned a lot talking to other members of other cities throughout the state. And we are unique, but we have a lot of the same problems. But what I learned really quickly is with the builder's remedy and the state of California and all the stuff they're trying to do to take, and they're doing a successful job taking away local control, if we don't have our stuff together and we don't have a strong city staff and we're not all rowing in the same direction, you should see some other cities. They are in pain. So I don't think the city residents realize how much the city staff does to make sure that we're not on that list, because it's pretty bad. I mean, some cities, by not having housing element and RENA numbers and actually following directions, they're now able to put 125 units per acre, and they can't get stopped. So the state is going to put the screws of people that are not doing what we're doing in Vacaville. We're not on that list. Like, it really helped me see how well we are operating, and our staff in Vacaville is making sure we are not one of those cities. Then back to Vacaville, the holiday season is coming up. The election is going to come. I don't not cover that, but I had a quick conversation with Aaron Bush about just something I saw also with one of the little ones getting vitamins at the nut tree, and I realized how dark it was. I don't care. I'm big. I have a different temperature for problems, but I realized real quickly, hey, it's dark. If you're not 300 pounds 6'4", this might be scary. So please, it's kind of public service announcement. You guys got to be careful during the holidays. People do some crazy stuff. Do not walk to your car in the dark on your phone. It's not worth it. You guys got to pay attention. And people are literally praying and waiting for you to screw up. It's not that important. Make sure your head's on a swivel when you walk from a store to your car. You got to pay attention. The holidays are going to bring a lot of joy and a lot of problems. as I saw how dark it was where I was, like, we gotta fix that problem. We gotta make sure the trees, lamp lighting works. If it's not city's property, tell the private developers or home builders, fix the problems, because we gotta keep our people safe. There's a lot of tricks you can do. I use a lot of tricks in LA. Don't walk straight to your car. Walk past your car and then stop and turn around. If someone's following you, that's how you know. If you're a female walking alone, like I tell my girlfriend, now wife, ask someone in the store to go walk with you. If you're a female walking alone, just tap somebody. Say, do you mind walking the car with me? Like, they'll do it. People are good. Like, it's not worth the risk. So it's more like a PSA. My little daughter reminded me of, like, wow, how scary it can be if you're not big and somebody can take advantage of you. So that's it. It's on top of mind. Just really, just keep people safe. And I appreciate it.
And just a slight PSA also is, and I can appreciate this as a father of daughters, there isn't any particular crime trend right now that anyone has to worry about. Right. It's simply just awareness, not only awareness for safety, but awareness for a lot of people I see walking in crosswalks with their phones, and people are getting hit. So with that, though, there is some business to address, item A in this, and I'm going to turn it over to Vice Mayor Ritchie, if you want to share with us. I know that there was a vacancy in the Planning Commission. What process we've gone through and what recommendations that you. How about I turn on your mic?
Thank you for that. Yeah. So, wow, the vacancy seems like it's been for quite a while. I think maybe at least 2 or 3 months. The process was interesting. We had a lot of positive response from the community. There's 19 applicants. I was very surprised. 19 applicants want to step up and serve in a time where sometimes it feels like serving is not, it's challenging. So 19 individuals want to step up and help out the city and make sure we're in the right direction. So I was able to go through the interviews. I narrowed down to 3 candidates, and it was really tough. I was getting out the last 3. I feel like every one of them can be at some level of our city government here and serving at that level. It was pretty awesome to see how tough it was. I did narrow it down to 1 choice, and I wanted to go with 1 member that had previous experience and wanted to bring that back to really kind of push us in the right direction with no delays. So I would like to recommend John Wilkerson to be a commissioner once again.
Yeah, and how long was he a commissioner before?
So he was appointed by our last mayor, Ron Roulette, and he served his whole term and did not reapply. So he served a whole term as commissioner.
All right, any other comments from the council? Appointment and then this recommendation. Does this have to open up to the public?
Yes, open it up for public
Okay.
comment.
Just for clarification, because while it's an out of order appointment, I'll go ahead and do that. Councilmember Silva, did you have any comments?
No.
Okay. I'll open up to the public for anyone who wishes to comment on this appointment. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and bring it back. And, I certainly worked with him at least for 1 year of his tenure. So I am familiar with John Wilkerson and Wilkerson family. So that's your recommendation. Is there a motion?
You made the motion.
Motion and second. Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Stockton? Councilmember Silva?
Yes.
Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ritchie?
Yes.
Mayor Carley?
Yes. All right. The only comments that I would say in closing this particular portion of the council is I had the opportunity, like we all enjoyed, to go on vacation. And again, I already made the comments about transportation. But one of the challenges I will tell you is in this Solano County, we are working through some challenges, and that's why we're in a committee process and a subcommittee process, and it's a public meeting. And I can't help but reiterate, you know, Brian, your leadership and, you know, Lori, your role in all this, it's really important because we're representing the interests of Vacaville. And there is an interest in some, at times, consolidation because of fiscal impacts. But I will tell you, one thing you don't want to do is give up what you have. And I'm seeing it firsthand. There's no reason for us to be doing that. So I serve on both the STA, I serve on the subcommittee, or the committee for the 2030, but the subcommittee to be working through this challenge. So my report to all of you is just understand that there is progress. It's been an all summer process trying to really focus on what the 2030 plan is, but at the root of it is trying to understand how, you know, how STA and Soltrans is to conduct themselves. And while the STA operates with very, very much many of the members of mayors, but also those who are on Soltrans, so it can be somewhat convoluted. If you're ever interested, those are open meetings, but representing the city and the council on that, I will tell you, I certainly appreciate the feedback and the planning that goes into it, and it's very clear that Vacaville leads the way. It's unfortunate that I may have this number wrong, but I want to say that I spent my vacation where I was on trains, more trains, buses, and everything was about transit. And we don't have the same European transit. Everyone here has 2 cars, and everyone there says, why do you have a car? And the trains are typically 100% accurate unless they go on strike. And the buses, I was just in Mexico City, and everyone takes the bus. No one takes the bus in relation here. And no one will if it's cost prohibitive and if it only runs somewhere less than 70% reliability. And so I'm very grateful for what we have here. We really are an example. And so I just wanted to say, I've got a lived experience, and I wish that we had what they have, but we don't as far as that. And what we don't need to do is go backwards as a city by somehow assimilating into a regionalized approach with the other cities. We can collaborate, we can cooperate, but we do not need to assimilate and become something that gives up what's good for our citizens. So I just want to commend your staff. With that, there is going to be closed session. I'm going to open it up for public comment. There are these 3 items. I will tell you that there will be a report out, and the first item that we will do will be conference with labor negotiation, and there will be some form of a report out soon after, so I will break and come back from that. So I'm going to open up to the public if they want to comment on any one of these 3 items. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close this portion, and we will move into closed session, and at some point we will come back with some form of a report. So with that, we will be adjourned until we report back. Thank you. Good night, Vacaville.
want to hug the sky. You just need to fly high. It will be cold for a while, but at the end of time, I will be on your side. Whoa, please don't go too far. Please don't go too far. If you want to travel miles, pack your dreams and thrive outside. I will be here for advice while you get into the wild. Whoa, please don't go too far. Whoa, please don't go too far. If you want to leave this world and just leave my heart alone in the dark, I remember we used to smile, but please don't go too far.
tonight's council meeting from closed session. Item 12A, there is a report out, and I'll go ahead and read this, that in City Council in closed session tonight by a 6-0 vote approved a new MOU with the Vacaville Police Managers Association. The substantive key terms of the new MOU agreement are a 4% wage increase effective the pay period that includes November 1st, 2024 for a 1-year MOU with effective dates November 1st, 2024 through October 31st, 2025. The City Council also in closed session by a 6-0 vote approved the following for the VPMA. Number 1, a reduction in the years of service by 1 year in the applicable human resources policy required for eligibility for both Level 1 and Level 2 leadership certification pay for lieutenants and captains, and a reduction by 1 year for sergeants to be eligible for Level 2 leadership certification pay. Item number 2, in addition, if sergeants receive a greater than 4% wage increase for the November 2024 to October 2025 MOU year, lieutenants and captains will get the same wage increase. Number 3, finally, on a one-time and non-precedent setting basis, the city will pay the cost of 1 life scan screening for any requesting VPMA employee between November 1st, 2024 and October 31st, 2025. The city manager and staff are directed to prepare a new written MOU consistent with the substantive MOU terms approved tonight, and the MOU should be placed on the City Council's open session agenda on November 12th, 2024, at which time the only question for the City Council will be whether or not the written MOU is consistent with the substantive MOU agreement terms already approved by the City Council tonight. And that's the only report out we'll have tonight. So with that, good night, Vacaville, and we'll see you at our next council meeting.